Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs and welcome back to another Premier Division show. Another intriguing weekend of Premier Division action in the League of Ireland, but a lot of talking points as well. I've team of the week up as well if you're a member or if you want to be a member of Irish Footy Vlogs. There's going to be a link in the description and in the comments. Team of the week is available to members. It's dominated by Drogheda players this week. On to the games. Turner's Cross finished Cork City 1, Sligo Rovers 1. I think both teams would be content enough with a point. Cork will be a little bit disappointed. Maybe they didn't go on and get all 3 points, but they do remain unbeaten at Turner's Cross from 3 games this season. Sligo Rovers will be happy. The fact that they won during the week on Monday and they've claimed the point here, especially in the circumstances after going down to 10 men. Cork City started the game with Troost in goal, Crowley right back, Beng, Lyons and Cusho in the back four. Beng came in for Freddie Anderson, who of course is suspended. Nolan played in the right, Dykesty in the left. Nelson came in midfield instead of the injured Greg Bolger alongside Shipson. And up front was Rory Keating with Murray just in behind him. So number changes for Cork City, missing Maguire obviously and Bolger in particular, and as I mentioned Freddie Anderson too. Sligo Rovers went with their traditional 4-3-3 system that Johnny Russell likes to play. This time Ollie Denham came in to replace McElroy. Mahan was centre back with Denham, left back was Hutchison, Lintosh was at right back. Connor Walsh remained in goal, by the way, in this game. In midfield, you had Conor Malley, you had Wolf and Jade Hakiki. On the left wing, you had Will Fitzgerald. On the right, Elding, and up front, Cian Kavanagh. Now, Elding gave Sligo the lead with a brilliant header in the first half. It was a lovely early cross from Lintosh to find them. And Elding was a brilliant header, wasn't it? Away, guides it away from Troost to give Sligo Rovers a first half lead in the game. Into the second half, and Cork City did put Sligo Rovers under a lot of pressure in this half. Kit Nelson equalised on 65 minutes after a lot of pressure and good work from Alex Nolan for Cork City. The red card came 3 minutes later. Conor Reynolds was only 90 seconds on the field or so, to be honest, and Dyke still kind of plays him a little bit because Dyke still sees, he waits for the challenge, to be honest. He probably didn't expect that type of challenge, but Conor Reynolds just comes steaming in. Yeah, could argue he could have got away with a yellow card, but it's one of them you can see why red card was given, to be honest with you. He was out of control. You've seen worse challenges, but he was out of control. I don't know what he was thinking. He gave the referee a decision to make. He sent them off. I won't complain too much about that. Cork City put a lot of pressure on Sligo Rovers then, but Sligo Rovers battled hard and saw the game out and got a point. Just near the end, Alex Nolan does brilliantly in the right, gets by 2 players, has a shot which is saved, comes out, the shot is saved again, and Beng eventually forces another save from Connor Walsh, although I think it's skewing wide, to be honest with you. But Connor Walsh supposed to do himself no harm the last few weeks, you'd have to say, from a Sligo Rovers perspective. Let me know what you think in the comments, by the way, if you're a Sligo Rovers fan regarding that. But ultimately, yeah, finished Cork City 1, Sligo Rovers 1. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next up, we're going to Derry and the Brandywell, where Derry City drew 1-1 with Galway United. Galway United remain, I should say, unbeaten in the league this season. 4th in the league, despite only winning 1 match, but they are unbeaten. Derry City are bottom of the league currently, despite picking up a point in this match. And it was a match where, you know, you'd have to say Derry City had an awful lot of chances in the game, but they lacked a bit of, between good defending and a bit of composure, I think, lacking in the game, to be honest with you, from Derry, with some opportunities in goal. Boyce could do better, maybe with a header, Liam Boyce, that is. A few opportunities where Duffy played a few good balls into the box, actually, and weren't taken advantage of. Duffy was sharp in this game. They did play with intensity and a sharpness, Derry, in which I think they'll be happier with that. At least they played with a better tempo. They did create some chances, although I'll go back and say a lot of shots, but not too many really clear-cut chances, I'd have to say, but definitely a better intensity in their play, but they fell behind right before half time when vintage Galway goal arrived, essentially. Ed McCarthy with a throw in, flicked on by Patrick Hickey at the front post, and Dyer was there to knock it in to give the Galwegians a 1-0 lead. And Derry be disappointed with that because you know what you're getting in that regard from Galway, but still hard to deal with it. Once the first flick is won, then it's anyone's game. And Patrick Hickey is a big man. I think he's 6'5", 6'6". He's hard to deal with. Not only is he a big man, but he's also very good in the air. So they didn't deal with that. And Galway went in 1-0 at half time into the second half, and Derry kind of played with the same kind of intensity, to be fair. And a shot from Diallo hit off Patrick Hickey on the shoulder arm area. He hit it with a lot of pace from outside the box, but for me, a penalty was very harsh. I'm not really sure what Hickey can do there. Apart from maybe get out of the way. Even if he tried to get out of the way, I don't think he would have been able to in that time between the shot coming in. And if I'm a manager, I don't want my player getting out of the way, quite frankly. I don't know about anyone else, what they think in the comments. But Michael Duffy smashes the penalty to give Derry City the lead. And Derry had some chances after that, nothing really clear cut. Galway nearly nicked it at the end when Maher makes a good save from Keohane, to be fair. Derry City lined out in the game as Brian Maher in goal, as you'd expect. They went for a back three this time, interestingly, with Hayden Kahn, Mark Connolly and Grant Holt. Ben Doherty was left wing back and Boyce was right wing back. Now, in fairness, I think Boyce and Doherty both play better as wing backs than they do full backs in general, to be honest. But because of that, it was a bit of a strange one. O'Reilly and Diallo played in midfield, but you kind of had Duffy and Thomas as wide number 10s, so to speak, if I'm honest with you. Not quite wingers, but kind of number 10s, but kind of playing as wide number 10s with Liam Boyce up front. Galway United changed their strike partnership, basically, for this game, to be honest. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Watts was in goal for the injured Brendan Clark and acquitted himself quite well. Asue was right wing back. Burns came back into the side, left wing back. They went with Slevin, Bruder and Buckley came into the team as centre back instead of Cunningham. In midfield, you had Cian Byrne, which is interesting that he carries on in midfield alongside Vincent Boredom, with Conor McCarthy playing in behind Hickey and Moses Dyer. Moses Dyer, as I said, scored his first goal for the club. So a couple of changes actually for Galway in this one. They'd be delighted with their unbeaten start and be fairly content with a point in the road. Derry will be a little bit frustrated. Their approach play was much better in this game than it has been in any of the other games, I'd have to say, so far this season, including the win against Bows, to be honest with you. But maybe lacking a bit of composure in front of goal in general, or when they got into the final third was their problem. Maybe they were a little bit eager, but I think they'd be happier generally with their play in the game. So they look to improve on that, I'm sure, the following week and play with that intensity but improve in front of goal. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Shamrock Rovers won St Patrick's Day 0 at Tallaght Stadium, and this was a game I was actually at. Shamrock Rovers played with their normal system, with their back three system, 2 wing backs. It was Ed McGinty in goal. Dan Cleary, Pico Lopez, and actually Corey O'Sullivan played centre back, believe it or not. I expected when I saw the lineup that Honohan, I should say, would go centre back and O'Sullivan would be wing back. But no, Grant played right wing back and Honohan played left wing back. I'll talk about those two in a minute. In midfield, they had Matt Healy, Dylan Watts and Aaron McAneff. Graham Burke played in behind Aaron Green. And it was an interesting game in regards, we'll get on to Pats in a minute and their team, etc. But Pats had more possession in the game, 58% possession in the game. Shamrock Rovers were happy enough to let Pats have the ball actually and try and hit them on the counter. But they played, usually when you see Rovers play their wing-back system, their wing-backs are flying up and down the pitch. Now, ironically, Grant did score a goal in the game by actually getting up the field. But in general, their wing-backs were disciplined and more defensive in the game. Josh Honohan was brilliant, I thought, in this game. Billy gave a man the match and I gave a man the match as well, but I thought he was excellent in this game. He dealt with everything brilliantly that Mulroney and El Bazzetti later on actually threw at him. Danny Grant as well did well, I have to say, even from a defensive point of view as well. He obviously took his goal brilliantly, where he gets forward and brushes off Gravosti to place a shot that slightly deflected into the top corner and give Shamrock Rovers the win. Neither keeper had much to do in the game, to be honest. Anang had only one shot, he only made one save, where Pico Lopez took a speculative effort from 35 yards. McGinty didn't actually have to make a save. in the game. But it was interesting that Rovers were happy generally to let Pats have the ball and kind of hit them on the counter. That might have surprised Pats a little bit, and they dealt with the way Pats played. Pats were trying to get a lot of crosses into the box, but the back three, particularly Cleary and Lopez, headed nearly everything away. They were disciplined, they expected it. Pats probably didn't get enough into the box. We'll talk about Pats now in terms of their lineup. They went for Joey and in goal. Left back was Anton Breslin. Right back was Axel Shelbourne. Centre backs were Tom Gravosti and Joe Redmond. On the left, we had Mulroney, and on the right, with El Bazzetti, as usual, interchanged a bit. Chris Forrest in the middle of the park alongside Barry Bagley. And up front, Mason Melia and Aidan Keena. Now, Keena and Melia played up front together, but to be honest, they felt very fractured, like they weren't a partnership. There wasn't really any link-up play, I felt, between the two, and they weren't working as a two. It was a bit strange in that way. Melia was a bit more withdrawn, but you would think to yourself that if you're going to play them two, they need to be more as a partnership. That wasn't the case. Pats were a little bit one-dimensional, and they've played teams now. I've played three at the back a number of times this season, actually haven't beaten any of them. When you're getting crosses into the box against a team, particularly that plays three at the back, they're generally going to head everything clear, more or less, aren't they? And Pats' problem was if the ball was on the right, you didn't have the left winger coming into the back post or vice versa as well. So it was quite isolated there in that sense, and it's something I think they have to actually look at. Now, they did have some chances in the game. Melia hits the bar, which he's unlucky with. To be honest, it comes at him so quickly. He's not coming onto it, so he can't adjust, in my opinion. Keane had one chance where he swiveled and just went wide, and another opportunity with Forrester plays a brilliant ball through, actually, and he just can't control it properly, Keane, and the chance goes. But in general, you know, Pat's struggling in that regard. If they got a point, you probably would have said it would have been fair enough, I guess. But Shamrock Rovers would be delighted to get their first win of the season at Tallaght Stadium. They're hoping to kick on a little bit now. The game overall wasn't great, overall, I have to say, in terms of quality on both sides. You usually expect more from Shamrock Rovers and Pats, if I'm honest with you. But two big talking points in the game as well, and to get on to them. And obviously Mulroney gets booked in the first half for diving, clear dive. Second half then, he dives again in the box, and I think the referee bottles it, if I'm honest with you. It's a clear dive. It's probably worse than the first one in many ways. And to actually dive knowing you've been booked from a dive in the first place is very risky and a little bit silly, if I'm honest with you. You know, I mean, you're in an attacking position. I don't know why you're looking to dive. You're in the box. I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could wrong-foot a defender, make space for a shot. You could actually get fouled if you drive at the defender. You know what I mean? But I think Mulroney was extremely lucky not to get 2 yellows and a red card, and very disappointing, actually, to be honest with you, from his point of view. You know, you just can't be doing that. And as I said, I think the referee bottled it a little bit. The other big talk point was a possible penalty at the end where Shelbourne is pushed by Pico Lopez. There's no doubt about it. If it was given as a penalty, I don't think you can blame too much. I think Lopez takes a big chance, big risk. And probably does get away with it. Now, the reason, my opinion, why it wasn't given, I think the referee thought there wasn't enough of a push to knock Shelbourne down, and which there probably wasn't, in my opinion, either. But still a push, and it could have been a penalty, to be fair. But, you know, overall, I don't think Pat's done enough. They may nick the point in the game, but I think Rovers are still looking leggy. So from a Pat's point of view, it was disappointing. They probably need to play more tempo as well. Need it more through the middle as well. Lennon's a big loss, obviously. Maybe should have started Brandon Kavanagh in hindsight as well. Rovers would be delighted with the win. And another thing they'd be delighted with is that Rory Gaffney came on. He looked actually quite sharp, didn't he? Which is a question I asked myself. Been out so long, and obviously 35, but he looked sharp, Rory Gaffney, when it came on. So Shamrock Rovers would be delighted to actually see that, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's it really in that regard. And let me know what you thought of the talking points in the game, the Mulroney and the possible penalty. Let me know what you thought of them in the comments. Now at Talca Park, the champions Shelbourne and Drogheda United were both unbeaten coming into the game, but only one team remains unbeaten. Shelbourne 0, Drogheda United 1. Warren Davis at early goal on 4 minutes. Shelbourne be disappointed. Last 3 games, 2 draws and a defeat. In the game, that's 71% possession, Drogheda 29% possession. But, you know, the game isn't about possession. The game is about putting the ball in the back of the net. And the game is what you do with the possession you have in the game. And ultimately, Shelbourne didn't do enough, to be honest. It had one good chance in the game. McEnroy, where he should have scored later on in the match with about 8 minutes to go. He should have scored. He was close range and he hits it over the bar. Apart from that, a lot longer. Drogheda were happy with... Drogheda controlled it, to be honest with you, to control the game. They were happy with limiting Shelbourne to mainly long-range shots. Chapman had a chance also in the second half, but he plays it straight at Dennison at the near post. He should have been looking to play at the far. But yeah, Shelbourne a lot of shots from distance in the game, and funnily enough, the 71% possession, the 2 shots on target, Drogheda 4 on target. And we'll start off with the teams first of all. The goal for Shelbourne was Conor Kearns. It seemed to me that Evan Caffrey was playing right back. We'll get on to him in a minute. Left back was Norris. Centre backs were Barrett and Ledwidge. In the middle of the park, Coyle and McEnroy returned for this one. Harry Wood on the left. Odebeko up front alongside Sean Boyd. And Sean Boyd, he's picked up his 4th yellow card this season in 5 games, and he only started 4 games this season. He's a yellow card away from suspension. What do you say? To be honest, strange one. Chapman actually played, by the way, as well. I might not have mentioned him. He played as a third midfielder, basically, the most attacking of the midfielders. But yeah, I can't get over the Boyd one. There's a level of comedy behind it, isn't there, in many ways. Drogheda United played Luke Dennison in goal, the James Quinn, Conor Keeley and Cooper at left centre back, coming in for Bolger there. Wing backs, as usual, the Conor Kane and Lamb. With a midfield of Farrell, Brennan and Markey, Warren Davis and Thomas Lewis started up front. Now the early goal from Thomas Davis. Aren't they a GA club in Dublin, Thomas Davis? The early goal from Warren Davis was brilliantly taken from Davis. Put a lot of pressure on Evan Caffrey, who should have cleared his lines, to be honest with you. Gannon's a big loss, isn't he? But he didn't, and Warren Davis put a lot of pressure on him. Wins the ball back off him, drives into the box, knocks it through the legs of a defender. What a shot in the top corner. Nothing Kearns can do about it. And even though Shelbourne a lot of the balls, as I said, and long-range efforts, the best chances in the half fell to Thomas Louis. 2 very good chances where he cut in. And unfortunately for him, on both occasions, the shots were weak, actually. No power, but also not really finding the corner. But there were 2 really good chances there for Drogheda. And Drogheda had probably 3 of the best 4 chances of the match, despite having 29% possession. The other thing you have to understand when Drogheda play, Drogheda let you have possession of the ball, basically. That's what they do. Particularly when they play maybe a Shelbourne or Shamrock Rovers or St. Patrick's Athletic, for example. They let you have the ball. Bohemians the other night as well. And this is what they do. They control the game without having the ball. And they've been doing it brilliantly so far. 4 clean sheets in 5 matches. Top of the league on 11 points. The one team that have started the season well. 3 wins, 2 draws. Okay, Galway could argue that a little bit as well. They're unbeaten, but they've had 4 draws in 5 matches. But Drogheda and Waterford be pleased with their start. But Drogheda are the one team that you say, yeah, they've started well. Defensively, they're so strong. Led by Conor Keeley at the moment. Just absolutely brilliant. A midfield that works tirelessly on and off the ball. And they've got pace up front. And bear in mind, they haven't had Josh Thomas. And I've mentioned this before, they haven't had Douglas James Taylor either. Imagine they had Douglas James Taylor and Josh Thomas available up front, in my opinion. That adds a serious dimension. Like, where can they go from here? Who knows? Now, they could have a kick in the arse next week like Waterford had this week. We'll get on to them soon enough. But what a start to the season they've had. They've had a brilliant start to the season. So organised, so disciplined, so controlled in what they're trying to do and know exactly what they're trying to do and doing it very well. Like I said, between the 2 games, Bohemians at Shelbourne now that have won 1-0 away in the last week or so, conceded a lot of possession, but haven't conceded many clear-cut chances in either game, and look at threat at the other end themselves when they do hit you. So, unbelievable start from Drogheda United. Kevin Doherty must be delighted. The only problem is all eyes will be on them now, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how they almost handle being top of the league as such as well. But it's a great place they're in. Shelbourne, very disappointing the last 3 games. 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat. It's a league that, a lot of teams are going to be inconsistent again. So they're not the only team in that scenario, so they're in the mix, but they'll be disappointed with this result and the results the last few weeks. But brilliant stuff from the Drogs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, finally, I kind of, my back of my head, I knew this was going to happen in a sense. Waterford FC 0, Bohemians 3. I said last week that it was very difficult to logically say the Bows were going to win the game, so of course, illogically, they won the game. Waterford, top of the league. Maybe they struggled with the pressure of that a little bit. 3-0 probably does flatter Bows a little bit as well. But they were 3-0 up at half time, and Colin Whelan with a hat trick. Delighted for Colin Whelan. He's had his injury problems. To come in and get a hat trick, brilliant stuff. Took his first goal very well. Really well, didn't he? He really did. And the 2 penalties, no issue with the 2 penalties. Both penalties for me. Devoy cuts inside the defender and gets clipped. It's a penalty. Whelan takes it well. Rakowski's all over the place for the second penalty, and I don't know if he sees Rooney. I think it was Rooney or Clark, I can't remember. I don't know if he sees him or not. But he's completely unaware of his surroundings, and that's a penalty for me as well. And Waterford were absolutely flummoxed in the first half. They've one good chance though. Ammon to be a bit disappointed. I think he didn't score that chance when the ball comes across, which would have made it 1-1, and maybe would have asked a question or two of Bowes. But the lineups, Waterford went with their usual back three. McMullen was in goal. Backboard right wing back. Kyle White left wing back. Rakowski, Boyle and Leahy played centre back. In midfield, they had MacDonald and McMenemy, which has been the midfield for the last few weeks, with Noonan and number 10. Tommy Lonergan played up front with Podge, Ammond. Now for Bowes, more mass changes, but this time it worked for them, didn't it? But it's amazing the changes they make. And like, for example, Morahan was in centre back for this game. James Toblett was in goal in the game. Smith played right back. Flores back, a left wing or left back. Gretton played centre back with Morahan in the game. In midfield, you had the impressive Adam MacDonald back in the team with Keith Buckley back in the side. Also, Devoy was the other midfielder. And it was a strange one because they seemed to play Clark and Rooney quite advanced. It was a bit odd, actually, to be honest, in behind Whelan. It seemed that Clark was almost playing up front with Whelan at times. It seemed like Rooney was kind of playing in behind. It was a bit of a strange system, actually, for Bowes. And you would think with all those changes again that they'd struggle big time in the game, wouldn't you, actually? But they didn't. They won the game, and they won it well, and the game was won at half time, and not too much pressure in the second half either. So brilliant win for Bowes and gets them up and running. They'd be absolutely delighted with that. They're the one team that, though, you look at them and you say, what team they're going to play next week? It'd be interesting to see what Bowes fans think. If everyone's available, do you think they should go again with the same team, same selection, same style, same formation? Very interesting, actually. But Waterford will be disappointed, I should say. Maybe you got a bit of pressure being got to them a little bit as well, I would suggest. But really interesting stuff this week. And we have an amazing league, don't we, after 5 games? Drogheda the top, Derry City bottom, for example. Absolutely crazy. One team left unbeaten after 5 games. Every team has won after 5 games. So, yeah, really interesting stuff, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. That's it, really. Thanks for watching.